Hi, Nicole McGork here with another Stampin' Fun Friday. Today's card, I'm going to show how you can use the Tim Holtz Distress inks with a little bit of water and a Hero Art stamp to create a watercolor look. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take a little bit of this Peel Paint Distress ink and I'm just going to press it around on this Hero Arts stamp. And I'm just going to add it in a couple of places. And then I'm going to take some Broken China Distress ink and I'm going to fill in a little bit more just here and there on the surface of the stamp. And once I kind of have some of that Broken China put on there, I'm going to take some Dusty Concord, it's a purple color Distress ink, and I'm going to fill in the rest of the areas that don't have ink. And I'm just kind of filling in here and there, adding some ink colors so I get a nice variation of color all over the surface of my stamp. Once I've done that, I'm going to take a mini mister from Ranger, and it just gives a nice little spritz of water, and I just have it filled with tap water. And I'm going to spritz it about 3 or 4 times, and that gives plenty of coverage. And you can see it's pretty wet. And then what I like to do, you can go ahead and stamp it the way it is, but I feel like it's still kind of splotchy. So what I like to do is take a paintbrush and just kind of smear it around and blend those colors together just a little bit more. And then I'm just taking a scrap of cream cardstock, the smooth side, not the texture side, and I'm going to stamp it right on that cardstock. And you can see the result. It is really pretty. Now it's still pretty wet. You can see that there. So I'm just going to set it aside to dry for a little bit. And I've already let it dry. And so I'm going to go ahead and stamp my message or my greeting. And I'm using another stamp set from Hero Arts. And I'm just going to ink that up with some Black Memories dye ink and stamp that right over my watercolored background. Now I'm going to take some Stickles glitter glue, and I'm just going to carefully, or not really all that carefully, it's pretty forgiving. I'm just going to kind of trace over that leafy vine from the shadow stamp, or that didn't have ink on it from my watercoloring. So I'm just going to fill that in just to add a little bit of glitter and dimension to my card. I believe I used the Frosted Lace Stickles here. It's my favorite. It just kind of gives a nice shine. It's not over the top or anything, but it's one of my favorites. That, and there's a diamond one I like too. So I'm going to set that aside to dry for a little bit. You can see here that the glitter, it's still pretty wet. So while that's drying, I'm going to take this background stamp from Hero Arts, and this is the wallpaper background. And this is one of my favorite background stamps. It creates you can cut it apart really easily and create some nice stamped strips. So what I'm going to do is ink it up with Versamark, and then I'm just layering a scrap of pattern paper over my stamp. Sometimes I find that I can get better coverage that way, and I just press it in really good. You can see the stamped image there. I'm going to sprinkle it with some white embossing powder, and then I'll heat set it. And I'm going to do this 3 times. I did this on the purple Bow Bunny paper you can see here. And then I'm also going to stamp the background stamp on that green plaid paper. I think that's Heidi Grace. I just got it out of my scrap file. And then also on the aquamarine Bow Bunny paper. And I didn't quite have enough of the aquamarine paper, so I just had a strip left over, so I'm just laying it over part of my stamp. Sorry, my head is in the way a little bit there. But again, I just inked up my stamp and then layered my paper over my stamp and then pressed my paper on it really good to get a good coverage. Once I have heat set that, I went ahead and cut apart some strips from that embossed those embossed images. And you can see I have a bunch of leftover that I can use on additional cards or another project. So you can get a lot out of one stamped image. I'm going to take this Hero Arts Craft note card and I'm going to round the corners with a 1/4 corner rounder punch. And I'm also going to round the corners of a couple of my strips that are going to be on either end. And I'm going to adhere those to the background of my card. And I'm just using a few here just to coordinate with my watercolored stamped image. I'm going to go ahead and get those all adhered real quick. And then finally, I'll adhere my watercolored piece right to the front of my card. Now there are a few little spots there on the stamped image, little dots, and I want to add some gems to those just for added dimension, and it kind of looks like little dewdrops around the flower. Also, I guess I forgot to show that the flower was just created by folding one of the collage art flowers in half with a glue dot in the center to secure it, and then in half again with a glue dot, and then adhered right there to the petal on the stamped image. Okay, I have some quick little, I'm just going to quickly finish it up here, and I'm going to have some clear buttons that I'm going to sew onto that green stamped strip, and then I have this silver clip from Stampin' Up, and I'm just going to wrap some string around it a couple times and tie it in a bow and adhere that clip right there to my stamped piece. And then I'll add just a little dot of glue to the center of my bow to secure that and hold it in place. And finally, I sewed those clear buttons onto my card, and that was it. Thanks for watching. For more information, visit my blog at www.nicolemcgurk.typepad.com.